Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Senator Ping Lacson said that the Blue Ribbon Committee will resume its probe into flood control projects on November 14 if he is re-elected as chairman when the Senate reconvenes on November 10.
Various leaders, including President Bongbong Marcos, sign a new trade deal and reaffirm unity on first day of the 47th ASEAN Summit.
A new survey by Okta Research shows that most Filipinos oppose any form of military involvement in political affairs.
Flower prices in Dangwa, Manila are expected to rise as Undas 2025 approaches.
First in the news, Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson said the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will resume its investigation into alleged irregularities in flood control projects on November 14. The continuation of the probe will take place if he is re-elected as committee chairman when the Senate reconvenes on November 10. Lacson said a very important witness and Orly Guteza will be invited to the hearing to help speed up the filing of strong cases against politicians, public works officials, and contractors involved in the controversy. Lacson resigned as Blue Ribbon Chair on October 6 following the disappointment of some senators with the direction of the inquiry.
Alright, so inaabangan niya na yung
November 14.
pag-resume ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee.
Yeah.
Nagbabalik of course si Senator Ping Lacson as the chair.
And officially, akala natin the important witness was si Orly Gutesa ang nahanap. But meron pa daw isa.
Yes.
One important witness, we don't know who that is, plus Orly Gutesa, they're trying to get him back.
So let's see who that
they're
is
trying to
14.
They're trying to see what else can they do to speed up the investigation para daw magkaroon na ng mga filing of cases. But of course, itong Blue Ribbon Committee naman ito ay of course in aid of legislation eh. Diba? So antayin din natin kung ano pa yung mga maaari nilang gawin dyan. While the Senate Finance Committee resumes its hearing today on the proposed 2026 budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH. In the previous hearing on October 20, several senators warned of a possible 20 to 30% across-the-board cut in DPWH infrastructure funds if the agency fails to address alleged overpricing in its projects nationwide. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon has since assured that the department fully supports the Senate's call for transparency and accountability.
And for more updates over at the Senate, we have mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Merimon, go ahead.
Angelo, Angela, good morning. So far, hindi pa nagsisimula yung continuation ng budget hearing sa proposed 2026 budget ng Department of Public Works and Highways. Pero isa sa mga 1 week kasi ito, last week supposedly yung unang pagdinig ng budget ng DPWH. Pero may mga red flags pa rin na nakita. Document pa rin ni Finance Committee Chairman Senator Sherwin Gatchalian na nalinis naman na, narepaso naman na ng Public Works. Lalo na ni Secretary Vince Dizon yung mga red flags na nakita nila. Pero meron pa rin mga kailangan pang i-address. Kaya binigyan ng 1 week itong si Secretary Dizon para raw masilip pa itong mga red flag. At kasama na dyan, for example, may mga projects na walang station number na supposedly for 2026 yung mga proyektong ito. Itong station number nagsasabi kasi ng simula at hangganan ng isang proyekto. And so far, ang nakita kasi nila dito, 4,566 projects ang walang station number. And sabi naman dito ni Secretary Dizon, tama naman daw na titingnan nga rin na ito, bubusisiin nila. Another red flag is may mga duplicated projects pa rin. Nung last time, nung hindi pa ito nasisilip ng Senado, libo-libo yung mga proyektong either nauulit, duplicated, o yung mga multi-phases or splitted na mga proyekto para raw hindi magmukhang maanomalya or may irregularities. Pero ngayon kasi, may mga ilan pa rin nakita, around 40 na duplicated projects and around 40 rin na items naman ng mga proyektong multi-phases or hinati-hati. So, though malaki naman na raw yung pagbabago from thousands of enlisted items, ngayon around 40 na lang, yun yung ilan pa sa mga kailangang tugunan ngayon ni Secretary Dizon bago talaga mapasa at committee level yung kanilang panukalang pondo. Last red flag na nakita nila is yung mga reappearing projects pa rin, which is very crucial. Ito yung mga proyektong lumabas na noong 2025 na unggaa, ngayon sa 2026 pa rin, lumilitaw pa rin. So around 946 projects worth 14 billion pesos. Ito yung ilan sa mga nakita pa ni na Senator Sherwin na may red flag pa na reappearing projects. Yung ilan dito, for example, yung Bravo Bridge daw sa Palayan City, Nueva Ecija, costing around 30 million pesos. Lumabas ito 2025. For 2026, lumabas siya ulit na mayroon namang 100 million pesos na allocation. So sabi naman ni Secretary Dizon, nilinis nila, nirepaso nila, pero hindi pa perfect talaga itong panukalang pondo or proposed budget ng Public Works. Kaya kung meron pa talagang nakikitang mga irregularities or questionable items ang Senado, bukas naman sila na pakinggan ito. Kaya yan yung i-address ni Secretary Dizon for today. Balik sa inyo.
Marimon, itong mga red flags na nabanggit ni Senator Win Gatchalian ay already ay nasa revised na NEP. Doon sa mga duplicated projects as well. So I was wondering kung ano yung magiging tugon nila Senator Sherwin Gatchalian and the rest of the committee regarding this, because NEP pa lang, nakikita na nga nila, doble-doble na, tapos may mga red flags na ito na ano yung magiging parang accountability na ba doon sa executive level pa lang.
Angela, yan nga yung sinabi ni Sec Dizon. Nanggaling sila nung House Appropriations Committee hearing ng budget ng DPWH, doon nga nakita na may kailangan silang linisin, repasuhin. Kaya yung errata o yung version na nakuha na rin dito sa Senado, yung nilinis naman na ng Public Works. Pero yun nga, may red flags pa rin. At ang hinihintay today ni na Senator Sherwin is yung iba pang mga documentation para ipaliwanag yung mga nakitang may red flag pa na mga item. Ang so far na nakitang remedy dito para masiguro yung implementasyon plus yung accountability is yung pagbabawas pa ng budget ng Public Works. And sabi ni Senator Sherwin, mas magandang araw, yung bukod doon sa unprogrammed appropriations o yung lump sum funds, ilalaan ito sa ilang mga sektor pa, sa agriculture, sa labor, sa health. Yun yung mga masisiguro raw na may patutunguhan talaga itong panukalang pondo. So far, yan yung hihintayin pa natin kay Senator Sherwin kung paano nga ba nila titingnan to. Kasi titingnan muna nila kung ma-justify pa ng Public Works itong mga nakita pa nila na questionable items or kung may justified reason naman na kung bakit naka-enlist pa rin siya for 2026. Yan yung isa sa mga antabayanan talaga natin. Kasi last week, sa Sec Dizon, nakita nila, okay, meron pa palang mga red flag na items. So, sisilipin po namin to. Kaya binigyan sila ng 1 week. So, possibly, pagka ngayong araw na to, hindi nabigyan ng mas malinaw pa na clarification or justification itong mga red flag na items, din doon natin makikita kung magkakaroon pa ng pag-slash ng budget itong Senado or kung anong remedya ang gagawin nila patungkol dito.
Ako, may iwan ng konti, Marymon. May nabanggit si Senator Ping Lacson about a very a surprise witness or a very important witness sa pagbalik ng Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Do you have any idea kung sino ito?
So far, wala pa. Yan din yung isa sa mga inaabangan natin. Bukod sa November 10, tulad ng sinabi ni Senate President Tito Soto, mafo-formalize na yung pagbabalik ni Senator Ping. And then November 14, supposedly, sabi ni Senator Ping, yung pagdinig ng Blue Ribbon, babalik na. Ang malinaw pa lang is itong si Orly Gutesa, still invited siya. Pero we are also yet to see itong si Gutesa. Pero yung isang special witness pa, yan yung isa sa mga abangan natin kasi usually din for Senator Ping nagiging pasabog din ito eh. Pero ang sinabi niya rin, ipagpapatuloy niya sakaling bumalik na talaga siya as Blue Ribbon Chair, yung kanyang blindfold na approach dito sa mga hearing. So kung ano yung ebidensya, where it will lead them, yun yung direksyon na tatahakin ng Blue Ribbon. So by November 14, doon natin possibly malalaman yung pinaghuhugutan. Bakit merong isang witness ulit na ipepresenta si Senator Ping na magtetestimonya.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. That was our mobile journalist, Marimon Reyes, reporting live from the Senate. And now let's listen in to the ongoing hearing at the Senate regarding the Senate Finance Committee to the proposed 2026 budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Local officials ang nag-reach out sa amin nung nakita nila itong mga listahan. I'll show it to you later on. No? Iba very concerned and they want to remove the duplication. Nag-reach out sila sa amin. Yung iba naman nagsabi sa amin na talagang iba-iba yung project niyon. No? So kaya nga kung walang detalye, talagang in the eyes of the public, lalo na yung mga hindi naman bihasa sa budget process, akala nila ito ay isang project lang at nauulit. No? So we will turn over the next portion to Secretary Hizon on the update on specifying the 4 red flags.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Tulfo, good morning po. Good morning po sa members ng Committee on Finance. Just to again re-emphasize po the statements that we made last Monday, that we are very happy and willing to work with the Committee on Finance in determining potential issues in the submissions for the 2026 budget of the DPWH. Just to recap, Mr. Chairman, as you know, the new senior management of DPWH did not prepare this budget, and this was prepared by the previous top management, and we were given very, very limited time to really clean it up, upon the instructions of the President himself. Sabi nga ng Pangulo, hindi kita ginagay dyan para depensahan itong departamento at yung budget na sumite, ginagay kita dyan para reformahin at baguhin. And I think that's what we're trying to do, and we're very, very thankful to the chairman and the committee for flagging these projects in the 2026 submission. And if you recall, Mr. Chairman, you gave us 1 week to justify and validate these projects, which we promptly did by instructing all the implementing units from the regions to the district engineering offices to validate and justify, in particular the first and the fourth red flags, particularly on the stationing and also on the validation and justification of the seemingly repetitive projects in the 2026 budget compared to the 2025 budget. So as much as we could, we did that po, and we have a report that we have already submitted formally to the committee and to the Honorable Chairman. So just to summarize, for red flag, can we start with 1, please? Number 1. Red flag 1, please. Red flag 1. I think there are 2 separate presentations. Mr. Chairman, I think they're preparing it, but if you don't mind, we'll start with red flag 4.
Yes, go ahead, Secretary, so we can see
red flag 4 were projects that were seen by the committee as repeating themselves, exactly the same or very, very similar line items from the 2025 budget. Now, there were a total of 946 projects that were identified, amounting to 14.455 billion pesos. Now, we are here to report to the committee that as of yesterday, we were able to provide validation and justification of 798 out of the 946 projects, roughly amounting to 66 billion pesos out of the 14.455 billion pesos. And this is broken down per region as follows. Next slide, please. And what we are going to show, Mr. Chairman, are just samples. No, obviously we cannot show all the napakadami po nito. We just wanted to show you our process, para po ma-validate at ma-justify. So simple lang po ang pinagawa namin, Mr. Chairman. Unang-una, pinababa po namin ang mga proyektong to based on geo-tag locations, and pina-validate po natin kung ito bang mga proyektong to ay completed na ba? Because I think that was the fear, nating lahat, na since kapareho nung 2025 at merong bagong pondo, parang doble-doble, umuulit, I also wanted to thank and recognize Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Sir, thank you po for being here today. So and then kukuhanan po ng litrato, ng dated at tagged photos para makita po na unang-una sa sarili nating mata, makikita natin na hindi pa tapos yung proyekto. No, at merong continuation. And we have changed the nomenclature of the entries, no, to reflect either a continuation or for completion of the project. So, if we can just go, Mr. Chairman, we identified na lang po one per region. No? But in the submissions, we have included in the annexes individual photos and individual reports for each of the 400 plus, close to 500, close to 700 plus, 798 out of the 946. So for CAR, simulan po natin. No? So for CAR, this is an example of a project that was initially flagged. So you can see po, this is the photo pictures. Meron pong geotag yan at may date, no? Nung kinuhanan ng litrato. No? At ang ginawa po natin, this is a 19.5 million peso project in Kalinga, District Engineering Office. And the next slide will show you the change in the, the next slide will also show you the straight line diagram. Para sa mga kalye po at mga bridge, naggumawa na rin po ang ating DEOs ng straight line diagram which shows kung ano po ang pinopondohan for 2026. And in this straight line diagram, it is the, anong kulay? Yung blue. Yung, tama ba? Yung, hindi blue. Yung green, no? Yung nasa gitna po, no? Yung nasa gitna, yung from Station 2 plus 820 meters to Station 3 na plus 480. So ito po yung coverage nung pinondahan ng 19.5 million under the 2026 budget compared to yung napondohan nung previous years. No, nung I think the one beside it, yung parang pinkish color is yung 2025. So, pinapakita lang po yung yung straight line diagram kung ano yung napondohan in the previous years and ano yung pinapapondohan ngayong 2026. And we have also changed the nomenclature. I think that's the next slide. Wala bang changing nomenclature? Ito na pala. Ito na po pala yung bagong change in nomenclature, yung project name, Makutay, Green Hills, San Pedro, San Vicente Access Road leading to Elephant Hill, Archaeological Tourism Site, Barangay San Pedro, Rizal, Kalinga, Station 2 plus 820 to Station 3 plus 480. So, dinefine na po ito. I don't know kung anong nangyari dito. I don't know if it's just a question of laziness or kinat and paste lang yung previous submission. But clearly, based on the picture and the straight line diagram, this is a continuation of a ongoing project, of an ongoing road in this case. So ito po yung makikita natin sa ibang mga submissions. And next slide please, let's go to NCR. This is one example in NCR. So again, it is these are the pictures of the road that is being continued. In this case, rehabilitation of road at Asibal and Harmony in Batasan Hills in Quezon City, 25 million pesos. Ito po yung geotag location as well as the picture. We have validated this already based on the picture and the geotagged longitude and latitude. And if we go to the next, I think may straight line diagram din. Ito din po, no? So, ang gagawin dito is, ito nga yung beginning of the project, which is station, hindi ko mabasa, sorry. Can you see it? 0 plus to station 346, which is roughly 9.5 kilometers na? Sorry, 346 meters lang, no? And with the amount of 250,000. And then the project name has been renamed Rehabilitation of Road at Asibal and Harmony, chainage 0000 to chainage 0 plus 346, Barangay Batasan Hills, Quezon City. Next slide, please. Region 1. Mr. Chairman, it's up to you if you want me to continue all the way to the last region, pero these are really just examples per region. No, but we have submitted all the 746.
President Bongbong Marcos held a series of bilateral meetings with fellow world leaders in the ASEAN summit, strengthening ties amid regional and global challenges. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos met with several heads of state in Malaysia for the 47th ASEAN Summit. On the first day of the high-level meetings, the historic inclusion of Timor-Leste as the newest member of ASEAN took center stage. Together with other ASEAN leaders, President Marcos signed the declaration granting full membership to Timor-Leste, marking the culmination of more than a decade of efforts by the young nation to join the regional bloc.
Timor-Leste enters ASEAN with full commitment to its charter, ready to be a constructive, peaceful, and devoted member. We pledge to work with all member states to keep our region peaceful, open, and prosperous, and to be part of efforts to build resilience, deepen unity, and ensure that no one is left behind.
On the sidelines, the president also held a series of bilateral meetings with world leaders. According to Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro, Marcos discussed the ongoing issues between Cambodia and Thailand with Cambodian Prime Minister and extended condolences to Thailand over the passing of Queen Sirikit. In his meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Joseph Carney, President Marcos expressed appreciation for Canada's continued support of the Philippines' position on international law and shared democratic values.
Nagkaroon din po, na-highlight po ang strong people-to-people exchanges at nagpasalamat din po ang Pangulo sa Canada dahil sa pagsuporta sa Pilipinas patungkol po sa shared values at including po the international law, particularly UNCLOS.
A new agreement was also signed on the first day of the summit, the second protocol to amend the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
The 47th ASEAN Summit is now on its second day, with leaders sitting down once again to tackle key issues, including security, economic cooperation, and climate action.
For updates, we have mobile journalist Julie Baiza in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Julie, what's the agenda today and tomorrow?
Yes, Angela, Diego, ikalawang araw na nga ng 47th ASEAN Summit and related summits dito sa Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia na dinadaluhan ng iba't ibang leader kabilang nga si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Ilan sa mga highlights ng summit kahapon, yung banggit na ng opisyal na pagiging member or 11th member state ng ASEAN ng Timor-Leste. Ayon kay PBBM, sinasalamin nito yung kolektibong commitment ng ASEAN sa pagkakaisa, kooperasyon at shared prosperity. Naging matunog din yung pagdalo ni US President Donald Trump, lalo't isa nga sa mga main o pangunahing agenda ng ASEAN yung pagtalakay sa ekonomiya at taripa. Sinabi na nga rin ng DFA na kung magkakaroon ng pagkakataon si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na makausap nga si Trump ay tatalakayin natin yung mga iba't ibang economic matters. Hindi rin nawala sa mga nabanggit ng Pangulo yung usapin ng West Philippine Sea. Kahapon sa ASEAN na India Summit, binanggit ng Pangulo or binigyan din niya yung halaga ng rule of law at yung peaceful settlement ng maritime dispute. Mahalaga daw yan para mapanatili natin yung kapayapaan dito nga sa Indo-Pacific region. Sa ngayon, Angela, Diego, gumugulong naman yung ASEAN Republic of Korea Summit. Bagamat hindi si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yung dumalo dyan, kinakatawa naman siya ni DFA Secretary Tez Lazaro. Meron pang ASEAN Plus 3 Summit na gaganapin din ngayong araw. Bukas, ang inaasahan naman o magiging highlight of course is yung turnover ceremony, yung paglilipat naman ng Malaysia ng chairship ng ASEAN patungo dyan sa Pilipinas. Mamaya susubukan natin kumuha ng ilang mga detalye kung ano na ba yung inilalatag ng pamahalaan na paghahanda kasi mahalaga at malaking bagay para sa Pilipinas itong turnover na ito. Ano?
Julie, I heard maraming, of course, na mga nangyaring bilateral meetings there with the different countries, members ng ASEAN. But I'm curious to ask what happened doon sa naging bilateral meeting with the first woman Prime Minister ng Japan.
Andyan sa ngayon, hinihintay pa natin ano yung mga iba pang detalye ng mga naging bilateral meeting ng Pangulo. Kasi paunti-unti yung naging pag-update sa atin and hindi din kasi lahat ng interventions ay naibibigay or naibababa dito sa media.
Okay, and also meron kasing nabanggit dito si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos about yung reaffirming the commitment of Asian centrality, meaning lahat ng dialogues, di ba, magiging of course within the members of the ASEAN at wala daw mga outside major powers. So does this mean ay hindi natin pababayaan na magkaroon din ng mga statements ang mga major allies natin like the US regarding of course yung ating issue sa West Philippine Sea?
Oo, ilang beses nga binigyan ng diin ng Pangulo yung ASEAN centrality, lalo na in the context doon nga sa usapin ng maritime dispute sa West Philippine Sea. Ang sinasabi ng Pangulo, Angela, na sana nga nagkakaisa yung lahat ng ASEAN member states sa pagbibigay ng suporta sa kapwa-miyembro at saka hindi lang din naman kasi yung Pilipinas yung may ongoing dispute sa iba pang teritoryo dito sa China. Kung maaalala, binanggit nga rin ng Pangulo doon sa kanyang intervention sa ASEAN-India Summit and sa naging state visit din niya na even ang India ay meron ding ongoing dispute with China. So sana yung ganun ang sinasabi ng Pangulo magkaroon nga ng pagkakaisa or magkaroon ng isang statement yung lahat ng member countries. So kung paano yung tutunguhin, kung ano yung magiging direksyon at kung paano yung pagbibigay nga ng suporta tungkol dito sa mga iba't ibang usapin, specifically sa maritime cooperation.
Alright, sige, maraming salamat to our mobile journalist, Julie Baiza, reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Halloween costumes with a political twist. Different groups took to the streets over the weekend, turning fear into a call for accountability as they protested against alleged government corruption. Here's the report.
A Halloween with a message. Activists dressed as ghosts, monsters, and even crocodiles gathered at the People Power Monument in Quezon City, dramatizing what they called the real horror hunting the country: corruption. Among those present were Akbayan Party List Representatives Percy Sendanya and Chel Jokno, both calling for transparency and accountability. Meanwhile, senior citizens joined the Seniors Contra Kurakot protest walk at the EDSA Shrine and nearby walls, echoing the same demand for justice.
Hindi dapat maging hadlang ang edad para maipakita na ang pagmamahal sa bayan.
Good governance! Good governance!
In San Miguel, Bulacan, church leaders, students, LGBTQIA+ groups, and civil society organizations also held a unity march, calling for the imprisonment of corrupt officials. Protesters said these coordinated actions are just the beginning, a preview of a much larger nationwide march against corruption, set for November 30.
A recent survey by Okta Research revealed that most Filipinos are against military intervention in political disputes. Conducted from September 25 to 30, the survey found that 70% disagreed with calls for the armed forces of the Philippines to participate in the current political situation. Only 5% supported intervention, while 22% were undecided. The survey was conducted amid reports that some retired military officers were pushing for a coup to unseat the Marcos administration.
And to talk more about this survey, we are joined by Okta Research Fellow Dr. Guido David. Good morning. Thank you for joining us again, Doc.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Angel and Diego. So, good morning din to our viewers and listeners.
Okay, interesting ito ha. The survey shows 70%, no, they oppose military intervention. But usually kasi historically in the past, pag galit ang mga taong bayan sa isang leader, pag lumalabas daw ang survey noon, sinasabi nila sana makailam na ang military. So what do you think is contributes to this the response of the survey?
Well, I don't think na galit sila necessary sa leader, galit sila sa corruption. And I think that this sentiment is echoed in the protests and the rallies that we are seeing. So although people want accountability, people want jail time for those who are accountable, and people want restitution of public funds, we generally want to preserve our democracy, and we want, or rather, we favor the change to come from civilian supremacy, democratic stability, and constitutional governance. So those should come with this support for the changes that we want to happen. So we, or at least the public, seems to reject military intervention in politics.
So in other words, kumbaga kasi right now, what you're saying is ang galit ng mga taong bayan ngayon is towards a systemic corruption, no? Rather than towards a political leader.
Exactly. So not necessarily a political leader. They don't want to overthrow the government per se. And in fact, some people are calling for just electoral reform. So let's vote for people who have a clean public record. So let's select our candidates wisely sa upcoming 2028 elections. In fact, may suggest a few weeks ago ng like a snap elections, although this is not constitutional, and this does not seem to be supported by majority of the Filipinos. Also, kasi the reason we favor some more peaceful method, if we remember, no, 1986, we had a military coup, and even after 86, no, nagkaroon tayo ng mga coup d'etat. It always affects our economy, and I think majority of the public don't want economic instability. So we prefer. That's why we prefer something na more in uh, a mas peaceful way towards electoral
Right.
reform.
It's good that you mentioned that. Ano, kasi I was gonna ask that, Prof, regarding yung, let's say, for example, one of the factors, aside dun sa nabanggit mo kanina, isa din would be yung thinking ng mga Pinoy na nagkaroon na ng martial law before and didn't do well. 'Di ba? So, bakit isusuportahan pa namin yun ngayon? Tama ba?
Right, right. I don't think the public wants martial law at this time. So, we're not at the point naman na, things are out of control. In fact, the government is, taking steps towards fixing the problems. So may ICI tayo. People wanted more accountability or more transparency sa ICI, and I think they responded. Gagawin nilang public yung mga hearings, but I think it's going to take a little time lang din. From what I hear, the ICI is understaffed din. They only have a few members, and they're tackling a lot of issues, and they're going to get a lot of data, and this will take time, and that's why we have to be more patient. Pero wag natin kalimutan yung problema, and I think at this point hindi natin kakalimutan ito. This will be on our minds for the next year, maybe years leading up to 2028. So there will definitely need to be some changes and some people accounting for these corruption charges.
Well, I also agree. No, none of us like to have economic instability by overthrowing a government. But could it be one reason also why Filipinos oppose intervention is they know if you overthrow this government, the next in command would be the vice president who is unpopular to at least 50% of the other side of the electoral fence. Now, we have at least very close ties with both groups, the Marcos and Duterte administration. And you have the yellow or the pinks, majority of them are allied with the current admin. So parang naka-stalemate tayo. Parang we don't like what's happening and it's happening under this president. But then again, I'd rather have this president than have the vice president. Could it be yun ang dahilan?
Yeah, we didn't ask the question kung anong reason sila, but that's definitely possible. And scoring through social media posts, yung mga nakikita ko sa mga comments, marami nga parang ganyan yung feelings nila or sentiments nila na they don't, they're also scared of the alternatives. So that's why, the electoral reform will have to come peacefully. The Marcos administration will see a change din on by 2028. We'll be electing a new president according to our constitution. And, people want to go through that process. Pero in the meantime, ayaw lang naman nila yung nangyayari doon sa corruption, doon sa flood control, doon sa ghost projects, and gusto lang naman nilang isoli yung pera. They don't want a major change naman sa democracy. In fact, we have a survey probe na nagsabi na 80% still want democracy. So they want the democratic process. Only 18% do not. I don't know what they want to switch to. Pero 80%, 8 out of 10 Filipinos still want to preserve our democracy. And our democratic process calls for peaceful means. Itong mga peaceful rallies na ginagawa natin.
Well, in relation lang to that, before you mentioned the 2028. Now, in the past two elections, last election kay PRRD, we had the platform of against drugs, something tangible. Prior to that, we had another platform na very specific also. I think this was kay Pinoy, no? Do you think now we're shifting from a specific platform back to a generic platform of anti-corruption given its popularity right now?
Well, it should not be generic because, corruption and transparency are still very important. In fact, when we talk to political analysts, what are the root causes of our problems, kung bakit na papag-iwanan na tayo sa Southeast Asia, I mean, Vietnam is overtaking us. Two of the three problems cited, two of the top three, are corruption and yung political dynasties. And I think someone, a person or a candidate who runs on these platforms will get a significant amount of support, in my opinion.
Right, but contrary to what Diego's question earlier regarding dun sa could it be na ayaw nila kasi yung papalit si VP Sara, but based on your research or based on your survey, merong regional differences At ang highest opposition dito at 79% would come from Mindanao. Diba? So how do you explain that?
Right. Well, there's also a difference between, a coup d'etat. Kasi technically, if it's a coup d'etat, they could install anyone. I mean, the military could, tulad ng nangyari no 1986, if it's a military coup, essentially the military will be the ones taking over, and they can select who will replace the president. So that's why siguro they're also concerned about that. They might install someone, more someone closer to the military, someone with maybe that's why. I mean, again, we didn't ask that question as a follow-up sa survey, so answers could vary, but that could be one of the explanation kung bakit sa Mindanao mataas yung resistance against military intervention.
All right. But interestingly, majority of adult Filipinos, based on your survey din, Prof, majority of adult Filipinos express high trust and satisfaction with the performance of the AFP. Pero, itong pinag-uusapan natin dito, pinagkakatiwalaan sila pero ayaw nilang makialam ang AFP sa mga political issues. Ganun ba yung nung divide?
Exactly, yeah, right. And it's good you point that out, Angela. Na they don't want military intervention, not because wala silang tiwala sa military. On the other hand, mataas nga yung tiwala nila sa military because the military is doing its job, protecting our sovereign rights, our freedom. They're protecting us against mga terrorists, counterinsurgents. So it's doing its job. Pero ayaw na nila ma-involve yung military sa political affairs of the country.
But why do you think there's a need to conduct a survey regarding this, Prof?
Well, that's a good question. I think from what we hear, minsan kasi, there are a few who may mga nagpa-protest, may mga groups, and they have a very loud voice. So sometimes we have to know, is this opinion of the majority? And the survey shows na it's actually, in fact, the minority lang who want military intervention or a coup, and the majority favor a more peaceful means of change.
Well, akala ko kasi kasama yung yung mga chismis na narinig natin ng mga kudeta, di ba? Yung mga retired general daw na gustong i-unseat. Kasama rin.
Kasama yan.
Actually, kasama yan, yes. That's why siguro, that's why this question was inspired. So that we want to assure the public that this is not what the public wants.
I saw a figure there, lastly on my part, I saw a figure there, 22% are undecided. Now, that's quite a significant number, no? If you're talking about military intervention, do we have any data as to who are these 22%? What demographic or saan sila nanggagaling?
Yes, we actually have a breakdown. So it's higher in certain areas. For example, Region 2, for some reason, it's actually higher. Yung mga undecided is like 65%. And yeah, so there are regions na it's higher. Even Region 5 sa Bicol region, it's at 34%. And then Region 7 sa Central Visayas at 30%. So may geographic discrepancies or disparities that we're seeing. Region 9 also 21%, not as high. But yun nga, it's not the same for each part of the country. In Metro Manila, for example, 7% lang nag-agree with the military intervention, and in sa Cordillera region 0% agreed with AFP intervention. So may mga parts where they really don't want military intervention. So we saw that in the survey.
Well, as always, very interesting insights. Thank you for your time. Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido Davin for joining us on News and Views.
Thank you as always, Angel and Jenga.
Now, the armed forces is pushing back against Davao Representative Paulo Duterte, calling his remarks on the temporary deployment of U.S. missiles misleading and inaccurate. Here's a report.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines defended its Chief of Staff, General Romeo Brawner Jr., after Congressman Paulo Duterte accused him of boasting about missiles that can reach China. The younger Duterte claimed the remarks were provocative and warned that such a statement could endanger Filipinos if China retaliates. But the AFP clarified that Brawner was merely stating a technical fact about the range of the U.S. Typhoon missile system temporarily deployed in the country for training purposes. The military stressed that the deployment is part of its modernization and capability building program, and that all defense partnerships are conducted in line with the country's independent foreign policy. The AFP also urged public officials to exercise prudence and responsibility to avoid fueling misinformation or distrust towards the military. In a separate statement, Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, also slammed Duterte's comment, calling them divisive noise. Tariela added that General Brawner did not boast about the missile's capabilities, but merely highlighted its role in enhancing the Philippines' defense and deterrence, not to threaten any country. He reiterated that the system's deployment underlines the country's commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The controversy comes amid heightened tensions in the West Philippine Sea, where the AFP continues to assert sovereignty while strengthening defense ties with allied nations.
The Trade Department has filed charges against 8 contractors linked to anomalies in flood control projects. The DTI said the firms, including Legacy Construction, Center Waste Development, Alpha and Omega, and LRTK Builders may have violated construction industry regulations. Their licenses could be suspended pending investigation. Trade Secretary Cristina Roque said the move shows the government's commitment to accountability and fairness in public works.
The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, said that Filipinos working in scam farms in Myanmar have sought government assistance. As of October 24, the Philippine Embassy in Yangon had received 222 active requests for repatriation. Of those affected, 66 have crossed into Thailand, while 9 are in Yangon under embassy protection. Many workers were recruited with promises of legitimate jobs, but ended up forced into scam operations under harsh conditions, facing long hours, abuse, and confinement. The DFA assured that it is coordinating with Myanmar authorities to deport those in temporary holding camps and rescue those still confined.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
The Batang Pinoy National Championships officially opened on Saturday in General Santos City. And for more details, we have mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. Hi Denise, tell us what's happening there.
Good morning, Jago. Angela. Yes, Batang Pinoy 2025 continues here in General Santos City, and we're inside the Robinsons Mall today for the BMX Flatland competition that will commence later on around 12 p.m. But before that, we have about 19,000 delegates joining this edition's Batang Pinoy in Gensan with over 188 LGUs with 27 sports featured just for this year of the Batang Pinoy here in Gensan, which the opening, just to recap, kicked off last Sunday. The event was graced, of course, by Chairman Pato Gregorio. We also have the People's Champ Manny Pacquiao, and of course, Olympian Heidelin Diaz. They were all present during the opening ceremonies. And medyo naging maulan nga, no? Pero syempre, tuloy pa rin ang events dito sa Batang Pinoy. And yesterday, nakasilip din tayo no, ng ilang events dito sa Gensan, including table tennis and of course judo. May mga ilang gold medalists na tayong nakausap. Talagang from 13 years old all over to 17 years old, makikita natin yung pagod, years of training, all for them to get a gold. And today, abangan nga natin itong BMX competition. Just a little later on naman, meron ding table tennis, taekwondo, and of course, ibang events pa dito within Robinsons Mall, including chess. Marami, hindi nawawala ng ganap dito.
Meron na bang mga nanalo ng gold medal?
Yes, Angela, isa sa mga apat sa mga nakausap natin yesterday from judo. Nangyari lang yan dito sa elementary school, isang elementary school in Lagao. Here in Gensan, they were around 12 years old and 13 years old lang. Some of them nakuha yung una nilang gold after how many attempts at Batang Pinoy. And of course, they would always mention their support system, their family, who's always been there through their training, and of course, throughout their journey within the sport.
Anong sport ulit yon yung nakakuha ng gold medal for now?
May judo, Angela. And aside from that, of course, hindi lang natin natutukan dahil simultaneously nangyayari yung iba't ibang sports. But of course, meron ng mga gold medalists and other sports, including we have swimming. And ngayon nga, tututukan natin ito, for example, BMX, maya-maya lang din after their competition.
Nawawala yung signal natin kay Denise dyan. Nasa General Santos City kasi siya eh. Oo. So abangan natin kasi kung may mga noted personalities ba mag-a-attend doon, tsaka hanggang kailan itong Batang Pinoy National Championship na ito.
Yeah, Denise,
Yes, Denise, go ahead. You were saying kanina? Denise, can you hear us okay? Hindi tayo narinig ni Denise.
Hello,
Ayun,
Angela.
can you hear us?
Ayan, as I was, yes, I am. Ayan, kanina, hello, sorry no, medyo mahina ang signal within Gensan talaga. But as I mentioned, dito lang sa
Wala na yung signal. Ang hirap talaga. So anyway, thank you so much sa ating mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho giving us report regarding the Batang Pinoy Championship there in General Santos City.
All right, now let's take a look at the cost of flowers ahead of Undas.
For that and the latest market situation, we now go live to our mobile journal, Francis Rivera reporting live in Dangwa, Manila. Francis, magkano ng mga bulaklak dyan?
Angela, Jaco, ilang araw na nga lang bago ang Undas sa talaga namang naghahanda na mga nagtitinda dito sa Dangwa para sa kanilang mga paninda dito ng mga bulaklak, no? At sa Mutsari nga ang makikita yung bulaklak dito at ayon nga sa mga nagtitinda rito ay ilan sa mga mabenta kapag Undas ay ang Malaysian mums at naglalaro ang presyo niyan so 180 to 200 pesos. Sa mga gerbera naman 200 pesos at 200 pesos din ang carnation at 300 pesos naman para sa mga orchids, ano? At ayun nga dito sa mga ilan sa mga nagtitinda dito may mga posibilidad daw o malaki ang tsansa na tataas ang presyo niyan pag papalapit na ng papalapit ang araw mismo ng undas, no? Sa sitwasyon dito, hindi ganun masyado katao ngayon, no? At kaya para ba? No. Ayan. So kung mapapansin niyo, medyo malinis pa rin ang sitwasyon, no? Medyo malinis pa rin at iilan lang yung mga nakikita nating namimili ng mga bulaklak dito sa Dangwa. At ayon nga din sa mga nagtitinda dito, inaasahan nila ang dagsa niyan sa Thursday or Friday.
Yes, Francis, kailan magsasara tong Dangwa, no? Or will they remain open even all throughout Undas?
Yes, Jago, nakausap nga natin yung ilan sa mga nagtitinda dito, no. 24 hours sila ngayon na nag-ooperate or nagtitinda o bukas, ano, at stay naman daw sila hanggang sa matapos itong undas.
And madami naman, do they have enough supply of flowers? Kasi usually, I think it was last year, madami nagreklamo yung specific kinds of flowers na gusto nila, naubos daw dahil sa dami na bumibili.
Yes, Jago, no, ayan din yung isa sa mga tinitignan posibilidad ng ibang mga nagtitinda rito kung magtataas sila ng presyo kasi yung mga supply din, ang dating ng mga bulaklak dito medyo may katagalan daw. So may mga posibilidad na magtaas sila, no, kung sakaling kulangin talaga ng mga supply at ng mga bulaklak dito sa Dangwa.
All right, thank you for that. Mobile Journal Francis Rivera reporting live from Dangwa, Manila.
Now in sports, here are the latest in the UAAP men's basketball tournament. UP continues its strong second round run, dominating FEU with 89-75 to claim solo second place. Nigerian center Francis Noruka led the Fighting Maroons with 19 points and 10 rebounds. Meanwhile, NU bounced back strongly with a 66-50 win over Ateneo, staying on top of the standings. Jake Figueroa posted a double-double of 17 points and 15 rebounds.
And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III, kapatid. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.